I wrote the complete storytelling script below in simple English, with an emotional hook, a subscribe reminder, and a heartfelt ending. Since this is content the user will publish, I'm providing it in a writing block. Have you ever met someone at the wrong time, only to realize years later that they were the right person all along? Michael thought he had buried that chapter of his life forever. But when he arrived at his sister's wedding weekend, carrying his little daughter's suitcase in one hand and his own regrets in the other, he came face to face with the woman he had never truly forgotten. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below. Welcome to Kindness Paradise, where every story reminds us that a simple act of kindness can change a life forever. Michael Parker was a single dad living in Ohio. His 8-year-old daughter, Emma, was the center of his world. Every morning he packed her lunch, braided her hair as best he could, and drove her to school before heading to work. Life was not easy, but Michael never complained. 5 years earlier, his wife had passed away after a long illness. Since then, he had devoted every ounce of energy to raising Emma. When Michael received an invitation to his younger sister Sarah's wedding, he was excited. Sarah had always been his biggest supporter. The wedding would take place at a luxury resort in California, and she insisted that Michael and Emma attend the entire wedding weekend. "You deserve a little happiness," Sarah told him over the phone. Michael smiled but said nothing. Happiness felt like something that belonged to other people. The day they arrived at the resort, Emma's eyes grew wide. "Dad, this place is huge." Michael laughed. "I know, sweetheart." They checked in and headed toward the welcome dinner. The ballroom was filled with elegant guests. Business leaders, celebrities, and wealthy families moved through the room. Michael felt slightly out of place. Then he saw her. Across the room stood a woman in a navy blue dress. For a moment, the noise disappeared. His heart stopped. It was Olivia Bennett, the billionaire entrepreneur whose face appeared on magazine covers. The woman he had once loved. Years ago, before Olivia became one of the most successful businesswomen in America, she and Michael had shared a small apartment and enormous dreams. Back then, they were young and hopeful. But life pulled them in different directions. Michael wanted a quiet family life. Olivia wanted to build something extraordinary. Neither was wrong. Yet neither could find a way to stay together. Eventually, they said goodbye. Michael never saw her again. Until now. Olivia looked up. Their eyes met. Shock crossed her face. Then came a gentle smile. "Michael." He nodded. "Hi, Olivia." For a few seconds, neither knew what to say. Then Emma appeared beside him. "Dad, who's that?" Olivia looked at the little girl. Michael felt a strange mix of pride and sadness. "This is my daughter, Emma." Olivia knelt down. "Hi, Emma." Emma smiled immediately. "Hi." Something warm passed between them. Olivia's expression softened. "It's nice to meet you." The welcome dinner continued, but Michael could barely focus. Memories flooded back. The late-night conversations. The dreams they once shared. The future they never had. The next morning, Sarah organized a family brunch. To Michael's surprise, Olivia was seated nearby. Apparently, she had become close friends with Sarah through charity work. As the meal continued, Emma wandered over to Olivia. Most children were intimidated by powerful adults. Emma was not. Within minutes, the two were talking and laughing. Michael watched from across the table. Something about the scene touched him deeply. Later that afternoon, Emma convinced Olivia to join her for a walk around the resort gardens. Michael followed behind. As they walked, Emma pointed toward a fountain. "My dad helps everyone." Olivia smiled. "He does." Emma nodded proudly. "When kids at school don't have lunch, he brings extra food." Olivia glanced at Michael. He felt embarrassed. "It's nothing." But Olivia shook her head. "No, Michael. It's not nothing." That evening, Sarah hosted a charity event before the wedding ceremony. Guests were encouraged to support local community programs. Many wealthy attendees wrote large checks. The room applauded. Then an elderly server accidentally dropped a tray. Glasses shattered across the floor. The room became silent. Several guests looked annoyed. Some stepped away. Before anyone else moved, Michael rushed over. He helped the frightened server clean up the mess. "It's okay," he said kindly. "Accidents happen." The elderly man looked close to tears. "Thank you." Olivia watched everything. She noticed how naturally Michael treated people with dignity. No cameras. No attention. No reward. Just kindness. Later that night, Olivia found Michael sitting alone on a balcony overlooking the ocean. The waves crashed softly below. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Olivia broke the silence. "You haven't changed." Michael laughed. "I definitely have." She shook her head. "Not where it matters." Michael looked at the water. Life had different plans for both of us. Olivia nodded. "Yes." Then she admitted something she had never told anyone. Despite all her success, she often felt lonely. She had built companies worth billions of dollars. But she missed genuine connections. People admired her wealth. Few cared about her heart. Michael listened quietly. Just as he always had. Not trying to fix her. Simply understanding. For Olivia, that kindness meant everything. The wedding day arrived. Sarah looked beautiful walking down the aisle. Family and friends celebrated together. Laughter filled the air. During the reception, Emma tugged on Olivia's hand. "Can I tell you a secret?" Olivia smiled. "Of course." Emma whispered loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. "My dad still smiles differently when he looks at you." Olivia burst into laughter. Michael nearly dropped his drink. Even Sarah laughed. But when Olivia looked at Michael, she noticed something in his eyes. Something familiar. Something honest. Later, after the celebration ended, Olivia and Michael walked along the beach. The moon reflected across the water. Neither rushed the conversation. Years of distance slowly faded away. They spoke about loss. About mistakes. About dreams. About second chances. Finally, Olivia stopped walking. "You know," she said softly, "all these years, I thought success would make me happy." Michael waited. She smiled. "But kindness makes people happy. And you've never stopped choosing kindness." Michael felt emotion rise in his chest. For years, he had believed his quiet life was insignificant. But maybe kindness mattered more than achievements. More than titles. More than money. A few months later, Olivia began spending time with Michael and Emma. Not because of business. Not because of status. Because they genuinely cared for one another. Their relationship grew slowly and naturally. Built on trust. Built on friendship. Built on kindness. And for the first time in years, all three felt like they belonged. Sometimes life gives us success. Sometimes it gives us heartbreak. And sometimes it gives us another chance when we least expect it. Michael arrived at his sister's wedding believing he was simply attending a family celebration. Instead, he rediscovered a love he thought was gone forever. But the real lesson wasn't about romance. It was about kindness. The kindness to help a stranger. The kindness to listen. The kindness to care when nobody is watching. Because in the end, people may forget what we own, what we earn, or what we achieve. But they never forget how we made them feel. And that is why kindness remains one of the most powerful gifts we can give. If this story touched your heart, remember to share kindness wherever you go. A small act of compassion today may become someone's reason to believe in tomorrow. Here's a completely different second version of the story script with a new plot, emotional arc, and kindness message. Michael Carter never expected a wedding invitation to reopen the deepest wound in his heart. As he drove across the countryside with his 10-year-old daughter sleeping in the backseat, he thought the weekend would simply be a joyful family celebration. But the moment he stepped into the elegant hotel where his sister's wedding guests were gathering, he froze. Standing just a few feet away was the woman he had spent 7 years trying to forget. The billionaire he once loved. The woman he had lost. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Welcome to Kindness Paradise, where every story reminds us that kindness can heal even the deepest scars. Michael was a single father from a small town in Colorado. Life had not been easy for him. After his wife passed away from a sudden illness, he dedicated himself completely to raising his daughter Lily. He worked long hours as a high school maintenance supervisor. The pay wasn't great, but it was enough to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. Every morning, he woke up before sunrise, prepared breakfast, helped Lily get ready for school, and then headed to work. His life was simple, quiet, predictable. But there was one chapter he never talked about. Years before he met his wife, Michael had fallen deeply in love with a young woman named Victoria Reed. Back then, Victoria was an ambitious college graduate with dreams bigger than the sky. Michael loved her determination. Victoria loved his kindness. For 3 wonderful years, they imagined a future together. Then opportunity arrived. Victoria received a chance to build a technology company in California. Michael was offered a teaching position near his family in Colorado. Neither wanted to leave their dream behind. Eventually, life pulled them apart. Their goodbye was painful. Neither expected it to be forever. But it became exactly that. Over the years, Victoria built a company worth billions of dollars. Her face appeared on magazine covers. People called her one of the most successful women in America. Meanwhile, Michael built a different kind of success. He became the father Lily needed. He became the friend everyone trusted. He became the person who never turned away when someone needed help. The wedding weekend brought both worlds together again. When Victoria saw Michael standing in the hotel lobby, she looked just as shocked as he felt. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Victoria smiled softly. "Michael." He nodded. "Victoria." The years disappeared for a brief second. Neither knew what to say next. Before the awkward silence could grow, Lily rushed over carrying a stuffed rabbit. "Dad, I found the snack table." Victoria laughed. Michael introduced them. "This is my daughter, Lily." Victoria bent down and smiled. "It's nice to meet you, Lily." Lily smiled back immediately. Children had a way of seeing hearts instead of titles. She didn't see a billionaire. She simply saw a kind woman. That evening, guests gathered for a welcome dinner. Michael noticed something surprising. Victoria spent very little time talking about her success. Instead, she listened carefully to people. She remembered names. She asked questions. She seemed genuinely interested in everyone she met. The next morning, wedding guests participated in a community volunteer project organized by Michael's sister. They spent several hours helping renovate a youth center for underprivileged children. Most guests expected wealthy donors to simply write checks. Instead, Victoria picked up a paintbrush. She worked alongside everyone else. At one point, an elderly volunteer struggled to carry a heavy box. Before anyone else moved, Michael hurried over to help. A few seconds later, Victoria joined him. Together, they carried the box inside. The elderly man smiled. "Thank you both." Michael shrugged. "Happy to help." Victoria smiled. "Kindness costs nothing." The man nodded. "And yet it's worth everything." Those words stayed with them. Later that day, Lily wandered through the youth center and noticed a young boy sitting alone. His clothes were worn. His shoes looked several sizes too small. Many children were laughing and playing nearby, but he sat quietly by himself. Without hesitation, Lily walked over. She offered him half of her cookie. The boy smiled. Within minutes, they were talking and laughing together. Victoria watched the interaction. Her eyes filled with emotion. "She's just like you," she whispered to Michael. Michael looked confused. "What do you mean?" Victoria pointed toward Lily. "She sees people who feel invisible." Michael looked at his daughter and smiled proudly. That evening, a heavy rainstorm struck the area. Several wedding activities had to be moved indoors. As guests gathered in the hotel ballroom, a hotel employee accidentally spilled a tray of drinks. The room fell silent. The young employee looked terrified. He immediately began apologizing. Some guests appeared annoyed. Others simply looked away. Michael stood up first. "It's okay," he said warmly. He grabbed a stack of napkins and started helping. Victoria joined him. Then Lily joined them too. Soon, several other guests followed. Within minutes, the mess was cleaned. The employee looked overwhelmed. "Thank you," he said quietly. Victoria smiled. "We all make mistakes." The young man later admitted he was working 2 jobs to support his family. Many people would have ignored him. But a little kindness turned an embarrassing moment into one he would never forget. The wedding day finally arrived. The ceremony was beautiful. Families reunited. Friends laughed together. Love filled the air. During the reception, Michael and Victoria found themselves talking more than they had in years. They spoke about their lives, their struggles, their regrets, their victories. For the first time, they were completely honest with each other. Victoria admitted that despite all her wealth, she often felt lonely. Many people wanted something from her. Very few simply cared about her as a person. Michael understood. He listened without judgment, just as he always had. As the evening came to an end, Lily approached Victoria. "Can I ask you something?" Victoria smiled. "Of course." Lily thought for a moment. "Why are you always smiling when you talk to my dad?" Victoria laughed softly. The question caught her completely off guard. Michael nearly choked on his drink. Lily grinned. "Because my dad smiles too." For a moment, nobody said anything. Then all three burst into laughter. Later, under a sky full of stars, Michael and Victoria walked outside. The cool night air felt peaceful. Victoria looked at him. "You know, I spent years chasing success." Michael listened. She smiled gently. "But this weekend reminded me of something important." "What is it?" he asked. She looked toward the hotel where families and friends were celebrating together. Success may impress people. Kindness changes people. Michael nodded. He couldn't have agreed more. As the months passed, Michael, Lily, and Victoria stayed in touch. Their friendship grew stronger. Slowly, they began building something neither thought possible. A second chance. Not because of money. Not because of status. But because kindness had kept their hearts open when bitterness could have closed them. Sometimes life brings people back together when they need each other most. Sometimes the greatest treasures are not found in bank accounts or business deals. They are found in compassion, in understanding, in choosing kindness when it would be easier to walk away. And sometimes, one small act of kindness can lead us back to the people we thought we had lost forever. So wherever you are today, remember this. Every person you meet is carrying a story you cannot see. A smile, a helping hand, or a kind word may mean more than you will ever know. Spread kindness whenever you can. The world needs it, and someone out there may be waiting for exactly the kindness only you can give.